Okay. Greetings, everyone. Here we are at our kind of like our closing for the year. As on you're reaching your exit strategy, especially with the F3s coming to an end. We have obviously the summitives to come up as well, and then we're going to say cheers, goodbye, good luck, and hope to see you in our South African Hall of Fame, Walk of Fame, whatever it is. God, and change everything, right? Before we get to that, we still have one more lesson to go. It's a short one, and it's got a lot to do with exactly what's been in your summit. Well, in your F3s a lot, as well as what we've been snooping, as individual lecturers to your person, right? For the past basically forever, right? So you're going to see a lot of the stuff that we actually go through. This comes from Valerie Geller, and we chat. Obviously that book was within the second year syllabus, but also is included in the next level. Just if you want to have some point to reference, it is on, well, it's actually still in chapter 8, talent management. Again, this is where we're going to close off and say goodbye. And so, okay, let's not waste any time. I just want to kind of just immediately go into it. You're going to see that you recognize again a lot of the stuff actually from your F3 itself, right? So we drew from Valerie Geller. Let me get that. Valerie Geller. There's a lot of L's in that one. And we put it into your F3 rubric and stuff. So you're going to actually recognize quite a lot of the stuff. Okay. So I'm going to go through these points and just kind of touch base again, once again, on what it is that you really have to look out for. Okay. I'm not going to run the slide so you can kind of see it right here, and that's cool. So let's get into her key principles of us, excuse me, snooping, right? So we want to look at different aspects. So one is obviously the storytelling that you do throughout your show, but also we want to look at you as a presenter, right? And so let's go through some of these, and I'm going to just elaborate a little bit more on each one of them. So we've said this throughout your education, and your training, should I say, about how you should not speak to, not read anything, please. You've got to actually speak to your listener. The moment that we hear, so you're going to say to me, Chris, that's kind of ridiculous, because prep, what is prep for? We prep, and there's a whole lot of information, so we got it like here in front of us, and surely we're going to read or not. Yes, you are. You are going to, but the thing is that when you have ownership of your own prep, which makes sense because you kind of came up with it and put it together, and you obviously are prepared for your show. Like, we're going to have a lot of aspects that will relate directly to obviously the facts that we put in there, statistics and whatever it may be. Remember, the prep also includes like a very organic, natural delivery, right? So I'm not going to read at all. This is not an audio book. It's not like whatever it is, some kind of scripted podcast. This is speaking to one person, right? Directly. So I want you obviously to behave like a normal human being and have a conversation with your listener. Take a prep that you actually have in front of you, and then own that. That's why it's there, so that you don't lose any track of whatever facts or information that you're going to put out there. But also, like I said, able to make sure, like, here I'm speaking to you and not reading directly off and just directly off, so I completely disconnect with you. Okay, let's go into some other ones. So using visual metaphors to create the story that you are telling. So visual metaphors is a bit confusing, but when I say, okay, so I mean, we know metaphors are, when we describe something using something else, as a metaphor, right? Visual metaphors are us basically trying to communicate with you and saying, listen, yeah, so we don't have obviously visual, like we're not television or digital in any kind of way in those aspects that allow us to, it does half the work for you, right? And this is going to be repeating the theater of the mind and all that type of stuff as well. But what are we using as strong descriptive, like I say, visual implications or insinuations or whatever it may be for what it is that we want to say? So we're going to use all our tools about knowing that, I've said this before, that your diction has to obviously be there, but also your knowledge of the dictionary and your ownership of your will say communicative language has to grow and grow as you become a better and better broadcaster, right? So that words and descriptions and whatever it is, without sounding very aloof and kind of like using big fat languages, to describe something completely, again, once again, disconnect from your listener. You want to be able to paint a story as best as you can. You can do that with a lot of revised diction. Okay, the presenter is passionate, fun, and humorous. So we've said this in class, and we said it in your briefs as well. So passion is, for me, it's about passion, right? You'll get fun and humorous coming from stuff that you're enjoying the show, like you're in your element. This is what you want to kind of do. Obviously, you have a guest in there, you're having fun with your listeners, but that doesn't always mean that we're don't take it literally in terms of like, whoa, like we're going to be laughing, whatever it may be. There's a time and place for everything throughout every single show. But the thing is that if you're enjoying something, it means that you are passionate about it, right? So passion allows presence and allows for you to be just a normal human being. For you, I'm saying yourself, being amplified as an entertainer, knowing that, listen, this is something great that I love to do. Like, for example, now, I mightn't be broadcasting, so I'm going to have a little bit of repetition in my words or whatever, it doesn't matter, but I'm lecturing to you. And so I'm very passionate about the job that I do, right? So I'm invested in this as well. I want to have passion, make sure that we enjoy what it is that we do so that our listeners can have fun with us. Okay, cool. The presenter sounds like they want to be on air. In other words, you are present, right? That is as simple as that. You are present, and my mind is not drifting, daydreaming somewhere else. That the focus immediately starts to reflect directly on how you are executing your show. All right, be present. Presenter, right? The presenter is a character who listeners can imagine. So I've always used this anecdote because it was one of my favorite, like it was one of my favorite experiences ever, where I was at Tux, I was campus radio, and we would start as we moved on to bigger shows and moved into like the Drive or whatever it may have been. I think it was the Drive actually at that point. A lot more people get more exposed to you. But I went and I did like OBs, and I went and DJed at clubs, whatever it is. This one guy came up to me and said, you know what, like there was, because I've never referenced myself in terms of how I look or whatever it may be, not because for anything in specific, but the way that this guy said to me, all right, you know what, like I genuinely envisioned you with like long curly hair, which might be a Greek stereotype. I get it, right? But also he said, I envision you being tall. And I was like, that's so weird. That is so weird. And my voice always goes high when I'm like, oh, that's so bizarre. Like, so it was so interesting that obviously the listener, like he was invested in my show and invested as a presenter. That the thing is that we naturally want to obviously paint a picture of who it is that we are connecting with. If we don't have a picture, whatever it is, I know that social media these days, like definitely helps with that. So just go to your profile on Instagram or whatever, maybe we can see what you look like. But also then we could start imagining, like, I don't know, some facial cues or some like idiosyncrasies that you have and stuff. I don't know. The point is that means that a listener has been connected and invested in you, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't care. I squeeze them at boss session just in case there are some interruptions. So, okay, let's go. Takes the audience on a journey. So, again, one of those things where I want to be able to take, like, I want to introduce a concept. For example, let's say I'm going to a link. I want to be able to bring in, let's say, what we've said to be the hook, and I want to take you through my train of thought. You understand? So the train of thought must be simple. That doesn't mean, again, like I've said in previous lectures, that it has to be simple content, right? It can be of any level of, complexity, but the way that you obviously deliver it needs to be simple enough for someone to follow with you, okay, and not be like, obviously we just watched like like a Wizard of Oz movie, right? So I'm thinking about the Yellow Brick Road, right? You want to always think about the Yellow Brick Road so you get like to the Emerald City. Go watch one of the old ones, really good. Anyway, but that's what we want to be. Take them to the Emerald City. Take them to like an end game presenting, right? Okay, so personal without being private. again, it's one of those things that we explain in class where like, okay, so we want to get to know you definitely, but there are certain things that we just did not want to know only. And I mean, you can always like gauge for yourself and say, okay, but what is that line? You will know when you cross a line when someone cannot get an image of you out of their head. They're gonna be like, but I can't picture you in any other way. So for example, let's say let's say you have a like a vibrant sexual you know healthy sexual side of you, whatever it may be. And let's say you are doing, let's say, a sex show with a sexologist and stuff like that. That's cool, but you mustn't go in and now add for like in that in particular aspect. Like I don't want to be talking about my experience around like in that way. The presenter should know there's a time and a place for everything because we don't like they don't want to know that they don't want to know about like some sort of details of maybe some really dark thoughts that you've had, not that you're trying to pretend. The thing is that there's a limit to how they will. Yeah, there's a blurred but very clear border in a way line. If you cross that, they will never see you in any other way. And we're not going for a pretense here. We're just saying that look, like I say, that's a time and a place for maybe my sister to listen to, or my mother, or my kids, or whatever it may be, right? My best friend, but not for a listener. Okay. The presenter would be fun to spend time with off air, right? Like the dude who came and watched me at my, when I was doing my club gig, have fun, wants to come over. As many listeners of like my career have come up to me like, yes, man, like you seem like a legit dude, and that I am, so definitely approachable, like good for like a social space, whatever. They've got to think that you are that type of person because you present yourself as the girl or guy next door, a friend, man, a confidant, man. Um, that they obviously share their life and their life experiences with you. The presenter serves the listener to ensure that they are entertained, informed, inspired, persuaded, or connected. And I think that is very self-explanatory because if you're not doing that, you're just not doing your job, right? The presenter is in control of the show. So yes, okay. In terms of semantics, so okay, cool. I mean, there might be like technical problems or whatever it is, like you're a professional and this is what you do, right? So you would know like the next best thing to keep my product as smooth and slick and obviously great for my consumer is to do like step one, step two, step three, whatever it is, right? Also, you lose control of the show. For example, even in the smallest aspect, like a presenter takes over your, not a presenter, a listener takes over your show. Be like, you're sitting there and you don't even know how to control like audio cues, so social cues. And be like, okay, like you really need to stop talking right now. Like, who are you if you can't control a listener? They didn't phone in to take control of your show. They're just waiting for you to tell them what to do. Do you understand? So if you just sit there and be like, and they carry on, like that's also one like that. That's definitely one of the not signs, just one of the ways that we know you do not have control over the show. Make sure that obviously you prep well, that things are obviously set up in a controlled obviously in a controlled clock, etc., as we've taught you, and you'll be fine, man. Okay, so let's look at from the story side of you. So your storytelling and everything that you put in as content, and content is all encompassing. Agree, right? So everything that we do on air. The story is conversational, makes a connection with the listeners on a personal level. So it's quite easy to be personal. Like the aspect of the whole concept of you, which we've emphasized over and over and over again, changes the way that I prep everything, the way that I want to communicate everything, the choices that I make in terms of like what points from this particular story or whatever it may be on social media and responses, the way that I feel, do you understand, as a real person connecting with real people, right? Builds an immediate personal connection. And I always say this, it's really cool because like I've had like again your lecturers and presenters that are on air have countless listeners that have connected with them and shared things that are so personal. I'm saying to you that they haven't shared with their. I'm saying, and that's on a public platform, forum, whatever it is you want to kind of say, public to a complete stranger. We're a complete stranger. And that takes a whole lot of skill for us to immediately make them feel boom, like here you are, tell me what you need. And you can, I mean, you're ready to open up to me because that's when you send me a voice note, that's when you send me like a text or like you are phoning in or whatever it is, right? Like let's start from there. Okay, the stories transitions are smooth and seamless and do not act as walls between segments. So as I said to you, the whole thing about bit construction is super important, right? And you've learned that in your third year. And now again, we've been seeing a lot of this. I have myself, and that's very natural. I understand in terms of like you as a student be like, okay, cool. Like you've been taught that links, for example, have certain segments, hooks, crumbs, etc., payoff and blackout, or whatever it is, right? Okay, but the thing is that eh, you need to uh, we need to just once again share with you that these elements have fluidity. In other words, like it can't be step one, step two, step three, step four, and then be done. And I see that a lot when the call outs actually happen to be like, like you can't just all of a sudden say, but the question now is like we're not that robotic, be like, oh, okay, like so one, two, three, and four. Normal conversation between people doesn't really happen like that. For us, obviously, as a craft, we say to you, bring in with a hook, go naturally into obviously the crumbs, the dress up, etc., and get to, let's say, what it is that you want to do as a call to action, right? So if it is, let's say, like a call out, excuse me, I think I'm like on and off with this screen, but I can't stop looking at myself. Hence why I'm not looking directly. Okay, anyway. Um, so okay, so the thing is again, like we have to be able to bring in. I would say to my kids, I mean, listen, yeah, like when you go for the call out, bring it into conversation. Be like, okay, so here is where, let's say, this is bringing us to the conversation or the yes or no, the the crossroads of X, Y, and Z of my call out. I know that a lot of you are struggling with, taking or sticking to a particular X, Y, or Z. But I want you to think about and give me a call, uh, when your world starts to collide with, I understand. This is where I'll give you an example of how to contextualize a great conversation and a call to action quite smoothly and seamlessly. Right? Story is engaging, entertaining, powerful, and creative. Well, enough said there. I mean, that's really literally how we're going to do it. Don't rely on just your raw talent. It will never be enough. A lot of prep, like well prepped, well rounded, rich, like many perspectives and a lot of knowledge of what we're talking about allows for all these things to happen, right? But we also have to obviously build with our craft. So we can't just be fed creativity. I'm saying so. I don't go and I like top up at the shell with creativity. It's something that I'm born with, and then obviously again I practice throughout my career. Do you understand? And so should you. That is something that never ever like goes out of fashion in terms of being able to like grow that muscle mass around that. You're never ever good enough, but you can always be like working towards being greater, and great enough. Okay, the story is applicable to the listener's life. So what we said there is it affect money, health, like family issues, like emotional, psychological, whatever it may be, right? If it isn't doing any of those things, why is it? Why are you even talking about it, right? Okay, you're not going to be interested. The story presents unique information that listeners will not hear somewhere else. So this is always, um, I suppose at first it looks like something that's kind of confusing. We're like, but now how do I make something completely unique? All you have to do is construct something from something else and something else and something else and put it together with your train of thought, your opinion, your viewpoint, and suddenly there's boom, something new. So, for example, I want to take, let's say, Twitter reactions, right? And I want to combine that with three different perspectives about the piece that I'm doing. So I would go and research and include different aspects of that. I would like to also maybe include like a sound bite, but also my opinion and my train of thought makes it a brand spanking new product, okay, that I'm putting out on air. That's how you create something new. Not just completely just taking like an article and being like, okay, so here's something that was on News 24 and it was like headlining for 3 or 4 days. Like News 24 has already done that. The moment that you haven't added some kind of like you haven't added any meat to that very dry bone, like you're not doing your job properly and it's not great radio. Okay. So the story does not carry on longer than necessary. So please, I mean, when you're done with what you have to say, play a jingle and get on with the show. Do you understand? There's no need for someone like if you've done it in its entirety, you've covered everything, ticked all the boxes. Why carry on? And that also applies, especially to taking callers. So, for example, if you've achieved, let's say, what you need to achieve with certain perspectives and certain callers, that well, great, kind of the best of the best that you could find in that short space of time over, let's say, the two songs they were playing from your call to action to let's say getting some callers, whatever it is, right? Then end there. It doesn't quantity is not quality, and know that as well. Okay. The story takes some risks to surprise the audience. So risks to be provocative, and that's so I've got a team and we do a TV show, and like I always say, be provocative. Well, obviously I provide them with scripts and whatever it may be in terms of like um, understanding where to go. But the thing is that to be provocative, I need to entice someone. It doesn't mean I've got to be a shock jock. Mm-mm-mm. The word provocative kind of is misleading because I mean it's like oh, but now I've got to shock you into doing something. No, provocative. I mean, if you're going to think of it from, let's say, an attractive point of view, when someone is provocative in just attracting someone else or other people, like they present themselves in ways that are appealing to other people. Dress well, man, whatever it is, I don't know, you know, uh, whatever it may be. That's not saying provocative. It has almost like a sexual nature to it, but it is true. Like we want to bring in, want to attract someone with what it is that we are saying. Okay, and that includes basically taking some risks and also not becoming stagnant and being like, okay, cool. Well, I'm very happy with the way things are, and I'm going to stick to this basically forever. You understand? You got to push your boundaries to be able to grow. The story is interesting enough for the audience to not worry about time. So the thing is, again, let's say it's 30 seconds, 45 seconds of complete crap. Like, you know what I'm saying? That at the time will feel like it is tearing at your like your bone marrow. Do you understand? It can be a 7 minute length. Not that we encourage that type of thing on the show on talk radio, but a 7 minute length, and you can be so like saying enthralled by, like, oh my word, this is so great to listen to. You don't worry about that. Always use movies as an example when I repeat my examples because they're the best that I know. I always think about like the 3.5 hour movies or 3 hour movies or even like I mean like 2.5 is like a mission, man. But it's not a mission when it's a good movie. You understand? You won't look at the time. And that sums this entire understanding of how time and the concept of time is yielded through great entertainment. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a checkbox in there. Okay, so your program director. Remember, this is about manage, like we're managing talent. Uh, just a couple of things that for yourself, even like you take your own show, to always self-analyze and self-crit. Always throughout your career, from beginning to end, you do not actually need a manager, nor will you always have like your boss to do it for you every single show, right? Okay, that's not that they would never do any work at all. Um, but they will snoop eventually, and they will be looking at things like this. Sounds worth listening to, right? You're going to sell the basics. It's your job. You don't get patted on the back to do like your admin links and your cheeses and make sure that spots are played on time and. Look, so has a goal achieves a goal. What do you want to do? Like, why are you on air, and why is that you're speaking about this particular thing, like right now, on this day, at this time, blah blah blah, right? Why is it this person that we're interviewing? Why did we put this caller, like specifically on the show to say what exactly? So, like the goal, the show will have many goals throughout to achieve basically the one goal, which is, did I do my job properly? Did I service the listener? Did I? You understand? Okay. Makes the show their own. And that sounds so obvious, but it's not. We go in, a lot of us, and we put a lot of pretense on. And that's, I mean, that's a very natural thing to do, right? Because you're still trying to find your space. But you're not allowed to find your space for forever and for too long. You've got to understand that the show is yours, the content is yours, the space is yours, and those listeners at that particular time are yours. So you've got to make it your own. Uses active language. So I want to be proactive in the way that I obviously speak and also address my audience about certain things, right? So active language can, I mean, as opposed to what, passive language, right? So we want to be able to, mine is about everything being a call to action, you know. So I want to demand like attention. I want to inform you about this. I want you to get up and think about this. Maybe I want you to call, whatever it is. It's about the way that I choose my wording correctly. And that is really it. Okay. Make sure that basically that you are here with them and not anywhere else. Creates pictures in the listener's mind, as we've spoken about theater of the mind, which also is there, okay, in the second column there, relates to the music. Well, I mean, the thing is, whether you like it or not, I mean, that is, no one cares about your opinion and music. You understand? Like, that is part of the brand, that is part of the product, and that is part of your job to be like I understand that I need to promote. Should I want to throw forward and tease to maybe something really cool in terms of like a number one song on our top 40 or whatever it is, or it's a first time play or whatever. No one cares what about your opinion about Celine Dion, for example. If you do not like her, but you've got to play a song, play it and enjoy it. I'm saying it because they love it and it's been chosen for them. Okay, so it creates a unique a daily show. I mean, that goes without saying, you know, facilitates the flow of the show, uses different points of view, as I've explained to you in terms of your prep, utilizes drama effectively. So, you know, as you've seen even throughout this video, like there's a variance in terms of the way that I express emotion and where I have to go to put emphasis in. When I'm speaking about something completely drastic, traumatic, and stuff, do not change the tone of that particular moment and atmosphere by being like inappropriate, you know, in any kind of way. And that's happy, joyous, funny, whatever it is. Like read the room, man. Read the room and go with that. Okay, try something new and surprises the listener, right? So that is a presenter that we want to always work with. Someone that goes and takes their job as a full-time job. It's not 3 hours a day. I want to know that I've worked on this. I've gone for the sound. I've got the vox. I've got the pre-recorded. I put everything in, and that I've given them something that's cool, and that they really were happy with to come back for the next day. You know, so imagine, obviously, that you're like, I mean, if you open a shop, like, you know, like let's say like a fruit shop or whatever it is, I don't know, right? You want the customer to keep coming back and buying the same apple from you. They love your apple, they love your strawberries. Kind of eating strawberries right here. Um, which are very bitter, so I will not buy them again. But the thing is that that's exactly the point, right? I want to go back to like a store that I like these like sweet, like fresh, not raw strawberries, man. Come back and I'll spend my money every single day if that's what I really want to. So give them what they want. Surprise that listener. Right? Reveal something new about themselves or reveal something about themselves. In other words, we don't want a robot, obviously, right? like coming through a lot of the times. I've even used a number of anecdotes here myself to automate. It's on autopilot. Like I do this because I've done it for so long, right? And you will too. Do you understand? So you want to share different aspects, and that already comes in with prep that you put in. You're going to put in your own opinion. You're going to have an opinion. And also you have reaction too, and your listeners' interaction. It will reveal tons about you. Remember, personal, never private. States their name often. Enough. Do not do it every single link because it makes you seem desperate. It's always Chris Jordan. Hey, Chris Jordan. Hey, how's it going, Chris? Chris here, Chris here, Chris with you, too. If they want to know who you are, they'll keep listening. Do you understand? Who is this guy? I heard him for the first time today. I really like it. Like, oh, there he mentions it after like 45 minutes or 30 minutes. Oh, it's Chris, man. That's cool. I'm gonna go check out on the website and see like, okay, who's on air right now. Okay. Facilitates one-on-one communication. Again, about the singular, not the plural. Promotes the station, promotes maintaining the listener, and teases the upcoming content. Okay. What's up that we have said? Are you a team player? Like, live your brand, be your brand, breathe your brand, eat your brand, whatever it is, right? And these things are going to be checklisted as a yes. Okay. You're not always going to get these right in every single show. Like all of them are going to be like a tick for yes. But let's see, like I say, assess yourself, crit yourself, snoop yourself constantly with these little guidelines here, and you're going to be fine. Cool. So let's quickly end there. In class, we're going to use the example 8.c on page 320 of the next level. Right here. Okay. And we'll take you through. There's even also Chris there. He's a Chris there, right? That's on air, and there's commentary. I say commentary in terms of like a snoop that's received from a mythological manager, right? A hypothetical manager and a hypothetical team there. Okay, and like I say, there, man. Like so that you are industry ready. Good luck with everything. And it's not like a goodbye, but it's definitely a goodbye from online side. Okay. And we will see you. I'm going to stop that over there. And we'll see you basically, like I say, in lights.